Welcome back to the Grid Aces show. I'm your host, Connor Hall, here with Mr. Football Chase Godey. We are the Grid Aces.
Grid Aces, what are they? Back in the 1920s, it's what they called Pro Bowlers. So we are the Grid Aces of ball knowledge.
Today we got a hot episode for you guys. College football playoffs is currently happening as we speak. It has been electric. There's been upsets already. So we're going to dive into that. We'll get into some MVP race drama, Phillip Rivers retiring, and we're going to also look ahead into Week 18 of the NFL, along with maybe take a dive into the playoffs as well. So we'll see what happens going forward. But first, it's a new year, January 1st, 2026. We weren't able to film Christmas break. That was kind of something we didn't mention, but Chase went under the weather. I myself was pretty busy with family and whatnot. I'm sure Chase was as well. So we weren't able to get to that. But Chase, how we feeling on the new year?
Feels good. 2025 was an amazing year of sports. Any year that your team wins it all, it's a good year no matter what else happens. So was a great year. Can't complain. Hopefully 2026 has another one in store.
Yeah, 2025 was a grind so that 2026 can be a movie. That's how I'm viewing it anyways.
For real.
But yeah, so we just came off a crazy game. Crazy in the sense that Texas Tech did not score at all against Oregon. 23-0 was the final score. And Texas Tech, I still think, best defense in the playoffs. I know probably many around media and stuff probably would agree. Their defense is insane. But looking back, what happened in this game it's like what happened?
Yeah, I think it just what we saw a little bit all year is that the Texas Tech offense is just not good. Morton just is not a Division I quarterback at all. I mean, because they have pieces and a good O-line and a good, couple receivers, but that's the biggest issue. I agree. Number one, defense. I mean, they gave up the ball 3 times inside their own 30-yard line, and the defense was like, we got you. Like, if there was an even somewhat competent offense, like, they would have won that game. With how good this defense is, it's absurd. So I think it just finally, they played an opponent in Oregon that was, good enough to the point where they couldn't, even somewhat move the ball. And we saw all those issues they were having on offense, come to fruition.
Yeah, I think for me, I had Oregon in this game, and at first I was stressing because, like you said, I mean, Texas Tech, there was about 3 or 4 4th and 2s, 4th and 1s Oregon was trying to go, whether it was on the goal line, in field goal range, and Texas Tech just stopped them every time until second half. But I was like, man, dude, I need them to pull away because it was like 3-0 for the longest time, 6-0 at halftime, right? And but yeah, I think when I'm looking at this Texas Tech team, and the reason I went Oregon is because one, Texas Tech, when you look at their schedule over the last year, it hasn't been the craziest. The toughest team they have played was that BYU team, which they did dominate, and BYU's a good squad. But when I look at like Oregon's team and the schedule they've had, they did play a lot of teams in the top 5, top 10, teams that ended up falling out, but that started with Oregon beating them. And then I look at Morton, and I just don't like him. I don't like his quarterback play. Obviously, today, he looked very nervous, and you could just see that going through the whole game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and we've seen so far in this in the playoffs, it seems like a lot of times the better quarterback is the ones that have been winning the games. And seen the quarterbacks that play really, really bad are the ones that cost their teams the game. But I always say the good news for Connor and his Cardinals is Dante Moore falling in the draft or maybe going back to college after that performance.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, so I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring up the lack of quarterback play in college football right now. And there's actually quite a few teams in the NFL that are in need of a quarterback, right? We have the Raiders at 1, desperately need a quarterback. Geno Smith is hot garbage. Cardinals desperately need a quarterback. Jets desperately need a quarterback, right? These are the top 3 picks. And you look at the quarterback pool here. I know both of us, right? We've been very loud about our feelings on Mr. Fernando Mendoza, excuse me. And I know you don't like Dante Moore as much. He's more of a raw prospect. But college football playoffs have been elite. It's been defensive battles. We probably kind of expected, as we were talking with the lack of quarterback play. A lot of these teams we see, everyone come from different conferences, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, ACC. And so you see new faces, you get nervous, right? And so we see these defensive battles.
One thing that I think is crazy that has happened since they've expanded the playoff to 12 teams is that teams that get that first round bye are now 0-6 in the college football playoff. So last year there was all the drama that, right, they gave it to all the conference winners, right? You had to be a conference winner to get the top 4 seeds. And they thought that was the big issue. So then this year they went and they're just like, okay, the top 4 teams get it. And right, and we saw obviously Ohio State lost, and then we just saw Texas Tech lose, which I know is the 4 seed, and Oregon was the 5, so those are probably a toss-up. But so far, 0-2 this year, and we'll see what happens with Indiana and Georgia. But it almost begs the question: do you even want a first-round bye?
Maybe not. The way it's looking, I don't know.
And
I would say with hopefully Indiana kind of turns it around, but it is interesting, and I would not be excited to have a bye going forward.
And Dan Lanning, he proposed something that I think would be absolutely awesome, because he said he believes a reason for that is the time off from the last time they play till now. I mean, they're off a whole month. Like they have 4 weeks off. Like we saw, I think plays a part. Texas Tech had issues on offense all year with especially their quarterback. They could run the ball effectively, but then they kind of ran into a better defensive line than they faced this season. But that 4 weeks off, like it showed. It looked like they had no rhythm, no coordination. It looked like they hadn't played a game in a month. And so Dan Lanning proposes that, you play the week after the championship games, right? You just play, the season continues. You play the week after. If you're top seed, you get a bye. So you only have to miss 1 week and you just keep playing. And he says, how awesome would it be for the college football championship to be played on January 1st? And instead, these teams that are 4 weeks on bye are like, don't even know what to do with themselves. They're just trying to make sure their players aren't getting in trouble. What do they have to even practice?
Yeah, for real. Which in the SEC can be a tough task for sure. And so add that to the list for the NCAA to look at in terms of what they need to do for college football playoffs next year. Miami's been rolling. They just beat Ohio State last night, who was a lot of people's favorite. I'm hyped about this. Obviously, having Indiana win it, I think that helps Indiana's odds. But Miami looking good, and Carson Beck hasn't even looked good yet. So, I mean, that Miami defense has been insane. I'm rooting for tonight. I want Georgia to beat Ole Miss so we can get Carson Beck, Georgia, revenge game. Let's get Miami all the way to the college football championship.
Yeah, that would be an awesome story, and especially with all this drama, where should they even be in? But what I think it shows is that there is more parity in college football now in the NIL era than there's ever been. So this Miami team, we're like, no, you guys lost to SMU, Louisville, like don't deserve to be in when you lose to unranked teams. And then we see them just come out and knock the betting favorites out of the college football playoff. It's just shows where we're at football. Like there could have been maybe 5-6 more teams. Like everyone was, the ACC is the worst conference, right, in football this year. And, they got a team that couldn't even win the ACC, that couldn't even make the ACC championship game, that comes in here and beats Ohio State. But I like to look at like why. And I actually looked, and Ohio State pretty much played a relatively soft schedule this year. And so I think it almost like kind of led them, to maybe a little bit more overhyped than they should, because their only ranked win was against Texas in week 1.
And Texas,
when we thought Texas was supposed to be good, and they only beat them 14-7. And then the other time their schedule was just like kind of the softer side of the Big Ten. Like they didn't have to play Oregon in the regular season, didn't have to play Indiana in the regular season. I think they got to avoid USC in the regular season. And so the only times they played decent opponents was Texas. They barely won. They probably should have lost that one. I mean, Arch played so bad.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Indiana. And I'm like, what? I was like, why didn't I look at this? Like, I just thought of this team as the same team as last year, and the defense has taken a step backwards. Right. I don't think the offensive line is as good. But yeah, just kind of baffling that that Ohio State team lost in the first round. But it just shows you how awesome college football is right now. That it's anybody can beat anybody on any given day, right? Miami can lose to Louisville and lose to SMU and can beat the betting favorites in the CFP. So pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, college football playoffs have been electric. I know there's controversy around the selection pool every year, but I've enjoyed since they've started this format. I've absolutely enjoyed watching college football. So Chase, knowing what we know now, right? We just talked about the byes. We got Indiana taking on Bama here in a minute, and then we have Georgia, Ole Miss, Georgia and Indiana, both the teams on byes. But knowing what we know now with all the information about byes, teams left, all that, who do you have winning the college football playoffs and crowning the champion this year?
I mean, man, it's tough, right? It feels like anybody can win it. I would say the team I'm looking to that this should be their year to go do it, and it seems like it's setting up for is Georgia. Now, who knows, right? But it's like in the first round, they get to play this Ole Miss team, great team, but don't have Lane Kiffin anymore coaching them, right? So there's probably some drama there, transfer portal, whatnot, who's staying, maybe little team chemistry issues. Who knows? But right, that definitely isn't encouraging for Ole Miss is losing your coach. So they kind of have a decent first round matchup, a team they know well too. And then now their second round, I thought it was going to be Georgia, Ohio State, like this, just absolute matchup. And I think Miami's awesome. But I bet if you would have asked Georgia before the game, who would you rather play in the semifinals? Would you rather play Miami or Ohio State?
They
They'd probably tell
Ohio
you,
State for show.
yeah, they don't want
I'm
to
just
see
kidding.
no Carson Beck. No,
Yeah,
but I think it's
exactly.
going to be obviously a movie. That's partially maybe why I want Georgia to win is because it'd be a movie, Miami against Georgia. But if you told me their path is a team that lost their head coach and then the final seed in the in the in the college football playoff, I would have been like, well, that's pretty good. Or
And
not the
people were
final seed, but
mad
like,
about Miami making it.
well, yeah, over Notre Dame. I mean, what I was
Mhm.
mainly mad at is that they created a dumb system where, Tulane and JMU got in when it shouldn't be that way,
Yeah,
right? So,
I
because
agree.
then there wouldn't have been drama. I also think Notre Dame would have done well. Like a lot of people saying, like, oh, all those Notre Dame people that said Miami shouldn't be in. Well, I think what they were so frustrated about is that there's a system where it's not the 12 best teams, it's the 10 best teams plus two handouts. So, because Notre Dame, I fully believe could have made a run at it as well. Like they're an awesome team, but obviously the same could be said about Miami also making a run. So I really like Georgia. I'm rooting for Indiana. That story's awesome. So I'm hoping for Indiana, Georgia, and the Natty. And then I just think Georgia's going to be too much. I think they're just too good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Obviously, I think a lot of the nation probably feels this way. The heartstrings are really pulling for Indiana here. Um, Georgia's a little scary. Um, for some reason, I'm scared about today's game with Indiana. Even though
Me
Bama's
too.
been weak all season, but I am a little worried about it. So maybe take the plus 7.5. If you're trying to cash in on this game. But
By
yeah,
the
I'm
time it
rooting for
gets out,
Indiana.
you probably won't be able to place it.
That's true. That's true.
But just so you know what Connor was thinking, this was filmed before the
Plus
game.
7.5.
He likes the
for
plus
the game.
7.5. So we'll see. If it doesn't hit, we'll probably just cut it out.
All right. College football playoffs are electric. If you haven't been tuning in, lock in and tune in because it's a movie. All right. Now, let's get into some NFL talk, Chase. It's been a wild couple weeks. Like we said earlier, we haven't been on to talk about it, unfortunately. But some things have been changing. Matt Stafford, who was the clear MVP at one point, now just lost 2 games in a row. one of them being to an under 500 team, which really hurt them on Monday Night Football last week, Week 17. So Drake May has now surpassed him as the MVP favorite on DraftKings at a minus 295. Matt Stafford's a plus 225. And then sneakily, coming up third in the runnings, we have Trevor Lawrence at a plus 20,000. So, you know, you
Close.
could say this is a three-man
Three-horse
race.
race.
Yeah, but it is more actually like a two-man race. And so, yeah, let's talk about it. Who do you like for your MVP? What is it? I mean, obviously Drake May is the MVP right now, but what has to happen this week in order for Matt Stafford to? And if you have Matt Stafford right now,
So I think they're gonna, unless something crazy happens like we saw last week. I think that the voters are gonna vote Drake May. Now I don't think they should.
I agree.
I don't think Drake May is the MVP this season. Now, what needs to happen for Matthew Stafford to get it? Obviously, they have to win. He's got to throw for probably 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. But what he needs mainly is a Drake May collapse. Because the issue is the MVP award typically goes to the 1 or the 2 seed quarterback. I've been saying it all year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is
Stafford.
The Patriots are going to go get the 1 or 2. The issue is the Rams are either going to be the 5 or the 6 seed. If the Niners lose, they're the 5 seed. If the Seahawks lose, then they're the 6 seed. So that definitely makes it tougher. But I just watched these 2 quarterbacks play, and I think it's a no-brainer that Matthew Stafford's the better quarterback. I mean, we've seen the Patriots this year. They got more players with current domestic violence charges than they do wins against teams above 500. And their only win against the team above 500, they ended up losing to that team later on.
Yeah.
Right? A good win for them is the equivalent of the team that the Rams just lost to. Like, that's their second best win. Their second best win is the Bucks. And they got to play the Bucks in the second half of the season. So, like, your second best win is a garbage win. Like, and then I think last week that was just straight stat padding. I mean, they were killing them. And they're like, yeah, here, we'll give you the touchdown.
Yeah, to be fair, they were cooking, but it was against a mediocre team.
It was against the Jets, and it looks like the Jets are trying to vie for a pick, and he throws for his best game. Like, I go and look, if I go pull up Matthew Stafford's best game, it'll be against a competent opponent. I go pull up Drake May's, and it's like, oh, did you see his performance against the Jets?
You can even look at that game against the Seahawks that he lost, where he put up 400 plus yards. I want to say, was it 3 touchdowns? And so
yeah, I think it was 450 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
and then I think that's part of it. And then I go look, Drake May's only have 1 300-yard passing game. Like, Tyler Shuck has more. Like, Tyler Shuck, his last name, I always hate saying it, but Tyler Shuck, his last name, or he's only played, half the season? 2 300-yard passing games. Drake May has 1. Like, the story of the Patriots and how they've flipped everything is that's an awesome team. Very well coached, right? Mike Vrabel, he won with Tennessee, right? They got the 1 seed when you had Joe Burrow, Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes all playing their best football. I think it was 2021. They finished with the 1 seed over all those guys, and he did it with Ryan Tannehill. Like, Mike Vrabel's an awesome coach. The defense is playing great, right? The receivers are playing well. They're running the ball well. The O-line's playing well. Like, it's just an awesome team, and Drake May hasn't had to do anything crazy. Like, hey, you don't need to throw for 300 yards to win a game on this team, right? You don't need to do anything amazing. Just do what you're supposed to do, and you're going to win. And you're going to win the game. Like, I think he's been awesome. I just don't think he's the MVP. When I watch Matthew Stafford, it's wow. It's 450 yards passing. It's 3 touchdowns. It's no look dots. It's awesome to watch. And so I think Matthew Stafford should be the MVP regardless. But I doubt the voters will give it to him because he's not the 1 or the 2 seed. What are your thoughts on the race?
Yeah, so I actually agree with everything you're saying. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, though, for your 300 plus yards in a game comment. Now, shout out Tyler Shuck, all you Saints fans watching the show here. Maybe you got your guy, maybe not. We'll see going forward. But I will say this: as far as the Patriots go, and I know they've had a mediocre schedule, but they have also dominated most of those games. I do think that does hurt a little bit of Drake May's passing stats, but almost half of these games have been two-score games. A lot of them have been at least a touchdown. So that's kind of my devil's advocate as far as Drake May goes with that. But I do agree. I think in terms of the narrative towards giving the MVP, Drake May was always in second, and it's like you said, they give it to the 1 or 2 seed every year. What really hurt Stafford is losing 2 games back to back at the end of the season. I think that really does kill. So I'm right there with you. I want Stafford to win it. I love Drake May. I'm a UNC fan, and so I'm rooting for Drake May. If he wins it, that's electric. I just don't think he's necessarily fully earned it this season. And I think if he were to win MVP, it would kind of be like Steve Nash winning his second MVP the year everyone said LeBron should have, right? Even better comparison, the year Derrick Rose won it when everyone thought LeBron should have. So that's kind of my view on it. I'm right there with you. Now, as far as stats go, maybe the reason they're giving it to Drake May is because Matt Stafford has -2 rushing yards on the season in 26 attempts. That's fire. But Drake May, he has 4,200 pass yards, 30 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 71% completion rate, and then a 76.5 QBR. So this is where it's interesting, Chase. He does have a higher completion percentage than Stafford. Less yards, though, and I do think that is due to those blowout games. But he also probably has a higher completion percentage because he's playing weaker secondaries. So it's kind of one of those things that kind of contradicts each other. Rush yards, we obviously know he's a dual threat quarterback. 409 yards, 4 touchdowns with a 4.2 average. And then Matt Stafford, he has 4,400 yards, 42 touchdowns. Maybe he'll look to get that to 45 this weekend. 8 interceptions, 65% completion, 70.1 QBR. Like I said, -2 rush yards and a fumble. So the stats, outside of the touchdowns, the stats are pretty comparable, but Stafford's destroying him in touchdowns and yards.
Yeah. And I think obviously, yeah, when you're blowing teams out, you typically obviously don't get to stat pad. But I go and look at Drake May's like best games statistically, and they're like in blowouts. Right. So it's like his close games are the ones that like, it's like, hey, dude, like you're playing the whole game, like put up some numbers. It's like against the Bills, 155 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1
against
pick.
a bad defense too.
Yeah, and then his other game against the Bills when he plays a good team, 0 touchdowns. It's Steelers, throws a pick. I go look at his best games, and it's like, okay, let's see, another 3 touchdown game, Browns. 5 touchdown game, Jets. 3 touchdown game, early season Saints. That's it. Those are his only 3+ touchdown games. That's it. Other than that, it's 2 or less. And so I just have a hard time being like, this is the guy that's the most valuable player. Like when I think of the MVP, we've become so enthralled by like numbers and how good your team is, and quarterback wins become a stat, which they somewhat are. But it's like if I went and plugged Drake May on some of these other teams, I don't necessarily think they're going to be that much better. I mean, they'll be better, but it won't be that much. Where if you go put Matthew Stafford on a lot of these teams, I think it could be a game changer. The player that he is now, and I also feel like he kind of deserves one too. It's like a little bit of like a deserving.
I agree, and that's where that's kind of like, where I'm like torn about it.
Like we have such a recency bias to be like, oh my goodness, this Drake May guy, he could be the guy. Like, for all the Jalen Hurts haters out here, I always like to relate stuff to the Eagles because it's easy for me. But in his second year, if he hadn't got hurt in week 15, he would have been the MVP. He was like a -300 to get it, and he gets hurt in week 15. The Eagles were 14-1. He was throwing it well. They were scoring all these points, but he was getting overhyped literally due to it was his second year starting, and they're like, this is it. This guy's the truth, right? Because it's new, it's fresh, right? He ended up getting hurt, not played the last 2.5 games, and finished second in the MVP vote. I think he lost to Tom Brady that year. No, Patrick Mahomes he lost to. But that's just kind of what I feel like with Drake May is like, yeah, he's playing good, but this is nowhere near MVP level. 3 games of over three touchdowns or more, and then 1 game of over 300-yard passing. Like, if I look at the reason you guys are winning games, it's not even all of the time. It's Drake May, and the reasons they
Yeah.
lose is, he's just not showing up. So I just don't think it's a bad, I think it's a bad year for MVP, like a weaker year. I mean, last year, we've just seen so many awesome seasons that maybe I'm spoiled by it. But I just don't think, his numbers. It's like 30 passing touchdowns, 8 picks. Like, we used to only play 16 games in football seasons, prior to 2020. And, if you said the MVP had 30 passing touchdowns, I'd be like, what? That's a terrible year,
Yeah, the passing touchdowns this year have been really weird. I think a big reason for that is a big value in running backs has spiked this year. But, and this isn't taken away from Drake May by any means. Drake May is a phenomenal stud athlete, only in his second year. He's going to be an absolute baller in the league. But it is one of those things where recency bias just kills. Because you remember when we were talking about this early on in the season, I mean, it was like the Rams were unstoppable. Matt Stafford was picking defenses apart left and right, and it was like, how is anybody other than Matt Stafford going to win it? And then, unfortunately, the last 2 weeks, they go and lose. Matt Stafford still played great. This last game, not as good, but against the Seahawks, played phenomenal ball. They just lost. And so it is unfortunate how much recency bias plays a factor in this sport. Now, speaking of recency bias, and before we move on, do you have anything else to say about the MVP?
Yeah, I got one last thing.
Okay.
The whole 1 or 2 seed thing bothers me
I hate it.
a little bit to do with the MVP, because Vegas knows all, right? They do it for a living. How is it possible? Yeah, I get like, oh, the Rams are going to be a 5 or a 6 seed, but they're literally tied for the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl. Like, in my opinion, it's like, okay, so Matthew Stafford's on his team, according to Vegas, is a top 1 or 2 team in football. And I go scroll and try and find the Patriots. Let's see where the Patriots are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the betting odds. And in my opinion, I'm like, if anything, the Patriots are the team that should be like the 5 or 6 seed on how people think about them, right? They know that the Rams are going to have to go on the road every week in the playoffs. And they're like, they got Matthew Stafford. They got the MVP of football. I don't want to see him. Like, nobody wants to see the Rams. As an Eagles fan, as any team, and you said, hey, what's one team you do not want to play this playoffs? I think everybody would unanimously say the Rams. I'd
100%.
way rather see the Patriots.
Everybody's fearing the Rams in the NFC.
And that's why I think I'm like, that's the MVP, right? They are a top 1 or 2 team in football, and that's why Vegas is reflecting them as tied for the Super Bowl favorites right now with the Seattle Seahawks.
Now,
and poor them. In their division, there's 3 of the top 4 teams in odds to win the Super Bowl are in that same NFC West division. So it's like just a tough year for the NFC West.
Out in the NFC. Now, let me ask you this, Chase. So here's how I view it. I think as long as you are a playoff team, there should be fair odds to a player to win the championship, or to win MVP, excuse me. Just because, like you said, right? I mean, they're the 5th seed, but they're favorites to win, or almost favorites, right? Now, let me ask you this, though. Say the Rams, instead of losing to the Falcons in week 17, they lost to, let's say they lost to the Texans week 1, right? Brutal game. They barely won. Do you think, right, that takes out recency bias and Matt Stafford is still in the lead for MVP? Or do you think just them being at the 5th seed, he's just cooked?
I think that's the issue. I don't think, like, imagine if they did the NBA seeding, right? Where has nothing to do with your division, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all based off record. Like, right now they'd be, if, say, hypothetically the Seahawks win against the Niners, I think they're barely favorites. I actually kind of like the Niners in that one. But we'll say the Seahawks win. They would be the 1 seed. And then the Rams could be tied for the 2nd seed. And then just based off, whatever the tiebreakers are, they could be the 2nd seed if it hadn't been for their division, right? So that's where I think they're just being unfairly knocked for their division when their record, they'll probably be tied with the 2 seeds record. It's just because they were in a gauntlet of a division. So, yeah, I think that's the only thing that's knocking him because you look at the numbers, you see what Vegas is saying about how good they are as a team. It's like that should be the MVP. They're one of the best teams in football.
I agree. And shout out the Seahawks. No one thought they were going to be this good. So another reason
Nobody.
why Stafford's dropped a bit. Okay, let's move on to before we get into predicting or previewing Week 18 and on. Let's get a big round of applause for Mr. Phillip Rivers. What a guy! He officially retires for the second time. And Colts sadly were eliminated this year with and we kind of saw it coming when Danny Dimes or Mr. Indiana Jones got hurt. So you hate to see it. Maybe they'll bounce back next year. But shout out Phillip Rivers, absolute genius, by the way. I mean, he really just cheated the system. Came back for 3 games to get his insurance back up for the family. So he's got like another 5 years, I think, with the insurance to cover all 10 of his kids. His entire army's covered. And so, yeah, big shout out to Mr. Phillip Rivers. Chase, anything you want to say before we move on?
No, I mean, shout out Phillip. Thanks for entertaining us. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed
An
it.
absolute pleasure to be back in his presence.
Got nothing bad to say. Like, love it. Hopefully, we get some more of these old timers coming back when a team needs them that they used to play for.
Yeah, let's see Brady come back, win another one. All right, Week 18 is here, and I'm actually, Week 18 has been known to be kind of a boring week in years past. But I'm actually really excited for this week. Now, this is the first week we won't have fantasy football for most competitive leagues. Championships already over. So congrats to all those who won. Chase, we suck at fantasy football, so we did not win, but what can you do? But we got some exciting games, and starting off Saturday, gonna be an absolute movie. So we got Panthers Bucks for the division. And then we have, and this game's huge because whoever wins, wait, let me make sure I'm not mistaken. This game's huge because whoever wins is in the playoffs, right? If the Bucks win, they would get the tiebreaker.
So, yes. So there was actually some more drama to this, and I don't blame you for thinking about that because that's how everybody's been talking about it. The reason everybody was talking about it that way is because in a 2-way tie, if the Bucks beat the Panthers, they'd have the same record and they'd have the head-to-head, they'd have the tiebreaker over the Panthers. The issue is the NFL has different rules for a 3-way tiebreaker. And you might be like, why 3-way?
And I guess the Falcons have climbed up now, huh?
So if the Falcons, nobody thought the Falcons were going to beat the Rams. And then the Falcons, if they beat the Saints, which they're favored to do so in the final week, they're all 3 teams. If the Bucks win, all 3 are 8-9. So now there's different rules between a 2-team tiebreaker to a 3-team tiebreaker. Falcons, we knew they were eliminated, but they could really help out the Panthers because the game technically doesn't matter. Well, it can matter, but if the Falcons win, Panthers are into the playoffs no matter what happens. So Bucks can win. In order for the Bucks to get in, the Bucks need a win, and then they need the Falcons to lose. The Panthers can either just beat the Bucks, or they could just have the Falcons beat the Saints. So kind of unfortunate, and I know the NFL was trying to hype it up as this game where it's winner gets in, because that's what they thought it was going to be. And all of a sudden, the Falcons have now won. That would be them winning 3 straight to finish off the season.
Yeah, shout out
and
Kirk.
Ruining the NFL's marketing for the game. So, it'll still be an awesome game. It's still going to be a movie. Bucks have to win to have a chance. Panthers win and you would get the division, something that nobody thought could happen. So, awesome game.
Well, I think that might actually make it even more electric. Because now we have to care about Saints Falcons, right? Because this game's first. It's on Saturday. So, because Saints Falcons, I didn't even know about that. Saints Falcons wasn't even on my list of games I'm like excited to watch. But now that you bring that up. So we have Saturday Panthers Bucks to start the day, and then we have to wait all the way until Sunday morning, the 1 o'clock or afternoon, I guess, morning for us, but Eastern time, the afternoon game, Saints Falcons 1 p.m. We have to wait for that to even know who makes the playoffs. So that's actually electric, and I'm excited.
Unless the
for it.
Panthers win on Saturday, then it's
True.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
if the Bucks win,
if
it's
the
a
Bucks
waiting
win.
game, and the Saints have been red hot, 4 wins in a row. I mean,
Tyler
that's pretty
Shuck doing his
impressive.
thing over there. Nobody thought we'd see it from him, and but a big miss or a big loss for the Saints. Chris Olave is not going to be playing Week 18 because of blood clots. Luckily, he's going to be okay long term. But yeah, a little bit scary over there. But yeah, he will not be playing. Then Chase, we go into another movie. The NFC West has not disappointed at all on these standalone games, these primetime games, and we have a 6 o'clock Saturday night. Seahawks at Niners. And this is now if Niners win, they're the 1 seed, right? So this is a battle for the 1 seed. This is electric, top of the division, top of the conference, and I think it's going to be a movie.
It's the game of the week, and I was a little upset that this one didn't get the Sunday night game, and instead it's the
Really?
Well, yeah, because I don't think the Steelers or the Ravens are going to do anything in the playoffs. I mean, if
That's
the Ravens
fair.
get in, maybe. So it's just it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Winner gets in, loser goes home. But this Niners one, for the Niners, it's the difference between if they win, the 1 seed, you get a bye, you get to play every game at home the entire playoffs because the Super Bowl is in Santa Clara. Or if you lose, you're the 6th seed and you have to play away every single game of the playoffs unless the 7 seed somehow wins the first 2 rounds, and then the Niners is the 6th seed win the first 2 rounds, because then the 6 and the 7 would be playing each other, and then it would be in Santa Clara. So it's absolutely massive what's going to happen here, and it's 2 awesome teams. It's 2 teams that are in the top 4 in Super Bowl odds. This is the game I'm most excited to watch out of all of the games. If you said only got one, this would be it.
So here's my again, I'm just Mr. Devil's Advocate today. The reason I actually like Seahawks Niners on Saturday compared to Sunday is similar to what you're saying, right? Ravens Steelers, it's going to be fun, but no one really cares. They're pretty weak, right, in the playoffs. I want to be fresh for this Seahawks Niners game. Going into Saturday night, I'm going to be all giddy, NFL football's here. Sunday night football comes. I've been watching football all day, and it's like, if Ravens Steelers is disappointing, I'm not going to be upset, right? I'll be like, all right, cool. I can go do something. But I'm excited. I love starting the week. Like when we had Thursday night football with Seahawks Rams, I love starting the week with just an electric game. And we get 2 on Saturday, hopefully. So that's why I'm excited for it to be on Saturday. But I understand why you like it, Cat. Finishing off Week 18, I get that.
And it's finishing off the regular season. It's the regular season
Conclusion.
finale. How do you want to finish it off? Do you want to finish it off?
It breaks my heart to hear you say that out loud.
Oh, dude. I'm going to shed a tear. I'm going to shed a tear.
It's sped by. I can't even believe we're 18 weeks into the NFL season.
It's brutal. And somehow the NBA season and the MLB season just seem to go on forever.
Yeah, forever.
And the
They
football
never end.
season, it's just gone.
You're gonna be stoked once football season's over, and we're just up here talking about basketball.
It's gonna be a blast.
I know. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited for Saturday's games. Now, you might have said this. I apologize if I'm doubling down here, but I kind of zoned out for a sec. So the Niners, if they do get the 1 seed, essentially get home field advantage all the way through the Super Bowl. You might have said that, but
to the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl's in.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
The whole time.
So that's kind of fun. And even if they get no, they wouldn't get the 2 seed. But yeah, so that's kind of electric. But So then the other game I'm excited for, Chase, and I know you're definitely not excited for, is actually between It's between 3 games. I'm not really going to be actually watching these games like super tight probably, but I'm excited for the Cardinals Rams. We kind of talked about how we need Stafford needs to win in order to have any shot at MVP. Titans Jaguars and Chiefs Raiders. Chase, can you guess why I'm excited for these games?
So your first one you said was the Rams and the Cardinals. You're excited for that one, I'm assuming, because of the MVP race, and then it's your team.
Oh,
and you're
excuse me, and Jets Bills as well. So 4 of those.
And you're probably rooting for the Cardinals to lose, in my opinion, probably, so that way they get a better seeding. So you're probably hoping Matthew Stafford has a game.
Oh, I need him to cook.
And then what was your second one you said?
Titans Jaguars.
Titans Jaguars. So I'm guessing you're rooting for somehow the Titans to upset the Jaguars. Then it looks like Jets. It looks like your Bills. You said Jets Bills. So you're probably rooting for the Jets to upset the Bills.
I think you're picking up what I'm putting down.
And then what was the final one?
The Chiefs Raiders.
Chiefs
Which
Raiders.
This is the most likely one.
That's probably the only one.
Yeah, this is the only one because the Chiefs are giving up.
Chance at. Yeah.
I don't even know if we'd get the tiebreaker if the Raiders lose. But, after we saw Dante Moore today, I'm kind of convincing myself of Mendoza. But I'd be happy with either one. I would love for the Cardinals to get the first pick. And then either, hear me out, we trade the first pick with Kyler Murray for Joe Burrow. Oh, cinema. Or we draft Mendoza, trade Kyler. Listen, after the season, I'm going to give my breakdown for my I'm going to make a separate video, break down what I want the Cardinals to do. A little sneak peek, maybe a little Marvin Harrison Jr. trade, Michael Wilson, wide receiver 1 over there. We don't need you. So, yeah, those are some surprising games I'm kind of excited for. I'm not going to watch them. Maybe I'll watch the Cardinals game, but just so the Cardinals can get up to the one pick, hopefully. Next game, Chase, I'm excited for is Chargers-Broncos.
Yeah, even though Herbert's not playing, huh?
Yeah, even though, because here's the thing, going into the playoffs, Broncos haven't looked great last couple weeks, right? Broncos need to convince me here. They have a great defense. We've obviously talked about the struggles. You know what's funny is I was gonna go make a clip of over our 2-week break because we needed content, and we were giving Broncos some love because they had just come off a big win. And then, by the time I got to it, the Broncos just lost. I'm like, oh, I can't post this. So, but I'm excited for that game just because I want to see the Broncos go to work, and this needs to be a blowout. This can't be a close game. If they want to compete in the playoffs, they need to take care of business here, rest up their starters for the second half of the game, and I want to see what they can do. You're probably not too excited about that game, though.
No, I mean, I'll watch any NFL game. At least you're getting to see 2 playoff teams, even though one doesn't have Herbert. Yeah, obviously, I agree with everything you said. You can't go into the playoffs having a loss and then a nail-biter win over the third-string quarterback for the Chiefs, and then a nail-biter win against the Chargers backup. Like, that's not exactly how anybody wants to go in the playoffs. Let's go with a loss, small victory over third stringer, and then another nail-biter over another backup. Like, that wouldn't be a good way to go in. I think they need to go in with a bunch of confidence, because these last 3 weeks, especially if this last week they don't have a great game, they're going to go in rattled, and I would probably pick whoever goes and has to play them in that first round.
Speaking of the Broncos barely squeaking by a third string, shout out Christmas Day, NFL games. 3 third-string quarterbacks playing in those games. And you know what? They weren't bad. All right. Vikings actually won. Max Brogdon. I mean, the Lions are just a poor organization this year. Who would have thought? Which is why, Chase, I'm excited for Lions and Bears as well. I'm actually kind of hopping on the Bears bandwagon. I've been loving watching the Bears. And so I'm excited for this game. Ben Johnson back against Dan Campbell. Last time they met, Dan Campbell had the upper hand. I know Ben Johnson wants this win more than anything. I think this might matter to him more than the playoffs.
I love this game, and partially because I'm an Eagles fan. Even though the Eagles said they're going to bench most of their starters, because you can't bench all your starters because the rosters aren't obviously big enough. So you'll have to play some of your like lesser starters, I guess. But if the Bears win, they're guaranteed the 2 seed. If the Bears lose and the Eagles win, the Bears fall to the 3 seed. Now, you may ask me why that's a big deal. Well, if you're the 3 seed, you're either playing the Rams or the Niners.
That sounds fun.
Strap up. You either get the best offense in football or the Super Bowl favorites. Go get them. You know, if you're the 2 seed, you get the Packers, who look like their backup quarterback's better than their starter. And obviously no Micah and injured and whatnot. But I think if you lined up 30 and 31 GMs, because you can't line up the one for each of their own teams, and you said, hey, you're in the playoffs, would you rather play the Rams and the Rams or the Niners? Or would you rather just play the Packers? And I think all 31 would say, give me the Packers.
Yeah, I agree. Except maybe the Bears. But yeah, dude, the NFC is just so brutal. Like the fact that that's your options, you're a top seed and your first game has to be like you're wanting to play the Packers.
Well, yeah, you could literally be like, you're like, I think this year could be maybe one of the worst years to be the 1 seed in the NFC. The reason for that, let's say hypothetically, it's the Seahawks. Okay. Seahawks win. They obviously are on bye. If we're going to say, that say somehow the 2 and 3 seed win, both the Eagles and the Bears win, and the 4 seed Panthers, they lose to the 5 seed Niners, right?
Yeah.
Or no, that'd be the Rams, 5 seed Rams. Or would you rather, as the 1 seed, play the Eagles, the Bears, or strap up for the Rams?
It's just insane that's the options.
Brutal. It's like, or you get to play the lowest seed, or you're gonna have to play the Niners. Like, I would right now rather, if I was, say, the Seahawks, I would rather play the Eagles or the Bears way over the Niners or the Rams, and that's probably who you're gonna have to play. So I think what the NFL needs is, now how the seeding should work is you get to pick. You get to pick who you play in every round.
I've been seeing fantasy football leagues do that, and yeah, I agree. I think it'd be.
How fun would it be? And it would create this like extra animosity toward, dude, they picked us. Like, they think we trash. So
and then that team goes and wins. Imagine the narrative around a team that beats the team after they got picked.
Movie. Could you imagine? Yeah, you're the 2 seed because the 1 seed has a bye. You're the 2 seed, and you're like, give me the Packers. Probably what you'd say. But then the 3 seed is like, or no, you wouldn't say the Packers. The 2 seed would be, give me the Panthers. I know they won their division. It would just be brutal. But yeah, it would be so much fun to hear these teams just calling other teams out. And then it would actually be a benefit for being, the 1 seed gets a bye, but it would actually be like an actual, you actually get to play the worst team. And they try to do that by like, oh, it's the lowest seeded team. But yeah, we both know nobody wants to see the 5 or the 6 seed.
Yeah, definitely not. Now, I'm going to use that to kind of segue into my next question here. Do you think the NFL needs to change? It just bothers me that the 4 seed is going to be either the Bucs or the Panthers in the NFC.
So, yes and no. This is a tough one for me because my issue, the thing that I like right now is that the 7 seeds that the Panthers or Bucs being in doesn't, or even you could say Steelers or Ravens, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not taking somebody's spot. Like, who would deserve to be like? Yeah, okay, the Cowboys would probably be a better run, but it's like,
I would say
they're
Lions,
not going to do anything.
Even though they've not been good, I'd much rather see the Lions in the playoffs than the Panthers.
But at that point, they shouldn't be in. Go to 6 seeds then. Like,
yeah,
it's it's the Lions at 8-8. If you're 8-8, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs, right? So the reason they switched from 6 to 7 is because, right, there was occasionally like that would literally be when they had 6 seeds. Say hypothetically, the like there would be a team that's probably 11-5 right now that would get left out. Way back when it was 16 games, yeah, because the Bills are the 7 seed. The Bills wouldn't be in the playoffs back when they did 6 seeds. So I could see the argument if they only did 6 seeds that you could do it, but at 7 seeds, it doesn't bother me. Them being the
Yeah.
4 seed, yeah, they
What
get a
I
home
was more
game.
so thinking is not necessarily like I was kind of just playing again devil's advocate. I personally would rather the Lions over the Panthers, but what I'm more so thinking is right, every division winner makes it in no matter what. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the next 3 teams. But then once you get to playoffs, it's reseeding.
Yeah,
So now Panthers are the 7th seed.
yeah. I mean, it's not a terrible idea. I'd say the only issue with that is the NFL plays such few games that you could get like, your record could be a little bit false, right? So if you go look at the Rams, for example, right, or some of these other teams that played tough schedules, and it's like, okay, so just because the Patriots only had to beat one team with a winning record, they get to be the 1 seed because their record's awesome, but they got to play the Jets, the Browns, the Saints. I mean, they just got to
Yeah,
play
but
all the
they're the 1
garbage
seed
teams.
anyways,
I
Or I
no,
guess
that's
they're
what
the
I'm
2
saying.
seed, but
But yeah, but what if they're, I'm just thinking like that's why I don't know. Like it's just the schedules I think sometimes don't line up. Like sometimes a division has like bad records because they beat up on everybody, right? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And so like I know that's not the case with the Panthers this year in that division, but I just don't think it's like that big of a deal. And I think it kind of makes winning your division more special.
I
And
agree.
the
It's not
NFL
a
has
big
such
deal.
awesome rivalries that it makes it so much fun. Because winning your division means so much, and I'm not willing to get rid of what it means to win your division. I get you make the playoffs, but it means so much winning your division.
Yeah, I agree. It's not as big of a deal until you have times like this where it's like, man, dude, like, right? Let's say the Eagles were the 1 seed. You would want so bad for them to play the Panthers rather than obviously, right? Like that's just how it goes. You'd rather them.
The Panthers
So
aren't going to win though, so the 1 seed wouldn't. They don't get to play them regardless, right?
I guess that's true.
So you'd
Let's say,
have
let's
to.
say if they were, yeah, let's say if they're the 2 seed, right? Then obviously you'd want them to face the Panthers. I think that's where it does matter. Because yeah, when you're having to choose between either the Rams, Niners, or Packers as who you want to go up against, like that's just. But then you have the Panthers, kind of just floating by.
Yeah. The one good thing though is you're gonna have to beat them at some point, right? So you might as well
Yeah.
just go beat them.
Now
I
another
just
thing.
if they played 80 games like the NBA, I'd be fine with them to do it because you get such a big body of work that everybody played the same teams and it's actually an even playing field.
Yeah, no, that's
Whereas like
fair.
now it's like, oh, okay, you just got a soft schedule, so that's why you won all of your games, and it's like, okay, like for example, the Vikings last year, I kind of thought they were frauds, and they proved that in the playoffs, right? And
So
everyone
you're
was
getting
butthurt.
right to where I was going to ask you then is what if instead of doing it based off record, it's now like a coach's poll or something?
No,
You think
I
it'd make
I
it
I
worse?
can't.
Too much controversy?
I think it's the one thing that bothers me about. I think college football is so awesome,
Yeah.
but it's the one they need to create something that's set because the issue is when there's so much. Like the nice thing is when the NFL playoffs is done, nobody's like, oh no, the Lions deserve to be in, the Cowboys deserve to be in, right? It's cut and dry. You know the rules, you know what you have to do. Just go do those things. There's 7 teams on each side make the playoffs. There's more than plenty. If you can't be the top 7 in a conference, you don't deserve to be in. Whereas if we start playing this guessing game of like where you putting teams, then I think it gets dangerous because you don't even know what makes the voters happy, right? And then there will always be seasons where people are complaining about something, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think you were going to like that one as much because obviously there's been
Yeah,
a lot of controversy around college football. Let me ask you this though. Last one and then we'll end the
I love
show
it.
here. What if and this I think this will be fun. What if they reorder based on Super Bowl odds? So, right, you have it how it is now. You'd have Seahawks at 1, Rams at 2, Niners at 3. Then you have Eagles at 4. Then you'd have Packers at 5. What up?
Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
And then Bears at 6. And then you have Panthers at 7. So, what I like about odds here is it takes those teams and it's like, okay, the Rams are the 6th seed right now, but they've had not the easiest of schedules, right? And then it's like Eagles, right? They're right there kind of in the middle of the pack. But then you have the Bears who are dominating everyone right now, but they've kind of gotten by with a lot of these easy teams. People don't believe in them as much. So now they're all the way down to the 6th seed despite the record. That would be fun.
Yeah,
And then in AFC, sorry, you go and then I'll finish up.
No, I was gonna say I like that one better because at least there's there's Vegas bias, but maybe there's less opinions biased. But the only issue with that I could see is Vegas when they're setting lines, they're also trying to guess what the market's going to bet on. So
that's true.
It maybe not be necessarily. I think a lot to do with it though is how well they rank the teams, but they also could be like, look, like we know, I think it's like with Ohio State. They won it last year. They're going to be getting a lot of the bets just because they won it last year, even though the team's completely different. So, and then it makes it harder for teams to crack into it in their first year, right? Like we see, like the Patriots are good for the first year. Broncos are like really good for the first year, and they're like way down on the odds because there's guys like me. Guys like you.
Actually, what's crazy though is they are down on the total odds because everyone thinks NFC, but they are still the 1 and 2 seed.
Because the AFC is garbage. Yeah,
exactly. So that's where it's kind of
fair.
Nice.
Which I guess is true. Are the Bills not higher than them? I thought I just looked at the one I just looked at on FanDuel.
Okay, I'm looking on DraftKings.
So FanDuel has had the Bills higher when I looked at it. So how crazy is that? You don't even win your division, and you get dropped down.
No, hey, I don't hate Bills.
We played the same schedule as these guys. We won more games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun, creative little take.
I think it'd be exciting because then you're just really in tune with, like, even if you're not a betting man, you're just so in tune with the odds all season.
You just want more gambling addicts, more issues with gambling, more power to the casinos.
Exactly. More power to you. More opportunities for us to rob the
NFL
casinos.
Is a juggernaut of ratings and revenue and how a league should be run.
Yeah,
don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Keep it the same way.
Make it awesome. Better. Bring the sports book more.
And if you don't like it, if you don't like how the seating is, just win your division. You just got to be the best team out of 4.
Maybe that's the reason I don't like it. Is the Cardinals just had no shot from the beginning.
That's fair. Cardinals were hosed, but hey, at least the Cardinals weren't like. At least they weren't competitive this year and then getting hosed by this good division. Like, this is a good year to be bad.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to the Cardinals, only team in the league to not score over 30 points this year, and the only team in the league to allow 4+ 40-point games. So we are cooking. Listen, if you've made it this far, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Show the Grid Aces some love. We appreciate y'all. The numbers are growing and growing each week. So until next show, we're going to be talking about a little bit of recap on the season, some of our favorite moments, and we're going to predict our playoff prediction, or we're going to make our playoff predictions as well. So make sure to tune into that episode. We're out. Peace.